Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So before we get into today's video, just a quick reminder that the Mr. Smelly fragrance is still coming. The fragrance that's going to blow Jeremy Fragrance Office for Men out of the water, we hope. So yeah, things ongoing with that one. We're actually having a meeting with the perfumer, or who we hope will be the perfumer, later this week. Very excited about it. And we have arrived at a working title for the fragrance. It could change tomorrow, but at the moment we're going with the title of... But what's the fragrance going to be like, you ask? Well, it's going to be a fragrance that will make you feel empowered, inspired, and invigorated. In fact, it'll make you feel something like these guys.
His name is Mr. Smelly. His name is Mr. Smelly. His name is Mr. Smelly. Mr. Smelly, don't you forget it. 50 sprays more. Until you are candies. Maximum protection. This mode is now active. Nothing can stand in his way. So you better start to play. Because Mr. Smelly is now on his way.
Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So today we're going to be having a look at a subject close to my heart, and that is long-lasting fresh fragrances. I am a big fan of fresh fragrances, and I like ones that perform really well. That's really difficult to achieve. One house that does a great job of that, I think, is Pura fragrances. So we're going to be having a look at 5 from them that I'd highly recommend. Before we get into that, if you haven't joined up already, I've got a thing now called the Private Members Club, the Smelly Army Private Members Club, over on Patreon. For just $2 a month, you get an extra video every single week from me and some other stuff, bonus stuff, interactivity. We've got a really nice community growing there, and the link to join up is in the description. Join me in there if you'd like to. I hope to see you in there. If not, let's get into the video and get on with it. So, 5 fragrances from Pura that last really well and smell really fresh. Of course, Pura fragrances primarily known for making inspired expressions, as they call them, or clones, as the rest of us tend to call them, mainly of niche fragrances. So, not everybody likes that concept. You can let me know below if you have an opinion on that. But it's getting a little tedious with people just saying they hate all clones. You know, if that's your opinion, I think we understand that many people feel that way. I personally think it's fine by me. I review all fragrances on my channel, niche, designer, clone houses, real cheapies, vintage, everything, and I'm proud to do that. Also with these ones, I wear them a lot, and if I was to think, oh, I can't mention these because some people don't like clones, that would kind of be unfair to my viewers, because you want to know what fragrances I really like and wear. And as you can see, there's some serious dents in the juice on these bad boys. So let's check them out. We've got 5 that I'd highly recommend and 1 honourable mention. Pura, of course, do send me these fragrances for free, so please bear that in mind, but I don't feature every single thing that they send me, and these are just my top picks of long-lasting fresh fragrances. So, number 1, the order insignificant. It's not a countdown from 5 to 1. They're all equally good in my view. The first one I'm going to mention is Matrix from Pura. Now, this is their take on Xerjoff's Neo. Neo is a very, very expensive fragrance, going to set you back in the UK around about £38 from Harrods for a 50ml bottle. Pura's Matrix is up. You've got a 30ml bottle, which is the size they tend to do, and that's $55 on their website, or £43 roughly that translates to. So it is better value by a long way per mil. Let's talk about how it smells. I love the fragrance Neo from Xerjoff. I've actually got a sample here from Fragrance Samples UK, which I've really been enjoying, and I am thinking about getting a bottle, but I might not need to, because I've got this incredible alternative from Pura. Notes on this one: neroli, bergamot, green notes, jasmine, cardamom, pink pepper, nutmeg, cedar, gaiac wood, patchouli, amber and vetiver. It's a really beautiful, fresh, citrusy, green and woody scent. You really get a lovely opening of neroli, bergamot. There's some florals in there with the jasmine, pink pepper, and definitely quite a noticeable vetiver note, and a little bit of a spiciness and sweetness about the fragrance. Comparing the 2 fragrances, and this is going to be the case with all of them, no clone is ever exact particularly in the opening, you'll notice a little bit of difference, maybe that the Neo is just a little bit more brilliant and natural smelling. Both of these I find very, very long lasting, both the original and the Dua one, and the Dua one has really, really impressed me when I've worn it. It smells absolutely beautiful when you smell it in the air. If I just do this with the two examples, they're near enough identical, but there are some differences in the opening. The longevity on Matrix is absolutely superb. You will be smelled for a long time after you wear it. It projects really nicely and it hangs around on your clothes for ages. Really, really high quality. I don't know exactly what their process is. I know they analyse the original fragrance. There are some oils then which they get copy what they've got from the machine that tells them what's in the fragrance, but it doesn't make it exactly the same. But they must be putting a lot of oil, a lot of fragrance oil in these. They're extract de parfum, they're labelled, which indicates a high proportion of fragrance oil because they really last well, and I find the quality of the smell to be excellent on this one, and I have to say the rest that I'm picking. So Matrix, if you like Neo from Xerjoff, if you want a really, really beautiful, fresh, citrusy, green and woody scent, Matrix is recommended. Next up then, we're going to move on to a lesser talked about Creed fragrance, and that's Pure White Cologne. Now Dua's take on this one is called Bianca Pura, and I really, really enjoy this fragrance. So Pure White Cologne from Creed and Bianca Pura, same thing in terms of how I'm going to describe them. They are citrusy, fresh, musky, slightly old school cologne type fragrances, kind of timeless and elegant, very transparent. The Pure White Cologne is really, really beautiful and crisp. It has notes of pomelo, lemon, bergamot, galbanum, neroli, pear, rice, ambergris and musk, and it smells exquisite. It doesn't last mega long. It's actually, I find, okay performing, and it's from the Creed exclusives range, which are even more money than a normal bottle of Creed, hundreds and hundreds of pounds for a 75ml bottle. Bianca Pura is $60 for 30ml at the moment on Dua's website, so you can translate that to £50 ish or something like that, and it really, again, lasts really, really well and has this beautiful citrusy, slightly more transparent and thin or effervescent, let's say a bit more transparent than Neo by Xerjoff, not hugely deep but very, very crisp. The note of rice is a bit hard to sort of get your head around, but it does have this very almost paper-like, white paper or white shirt, white cotton type of feel, but in a really high quality kind of way of imagining how that might smell. The pear notes I wouldn't pick up on massively, but I do get this nice kind of underlying typical Creed style ambergris note. Very, very fresh, very unisex and incredibly versatile, and thanks to this version Bianca Pura, we get really, really good longevity again for me, particularly if you spray it on your clothes. It just lasts for ages and you really project that strong freshness, which is so frustrating with so many other niche fragrances when you buy them for all that money and they smell great but they don't last. Dua somehow have done something where they really inject this longevity and power into the fragrances. Comparing the two fragrances side by side, I did have a sample not to hand at the moment. Very, very similar again, but you always will notice some slight difference, but it's kind of in the 90+% range, I guess. And in the air, I certainly don't think many people would know much difference between which one you were wearing. So Bianca Pura, of a lesser mentioned one from Dua, but I've been really, really enjoying that one. Moving on to a bit more of a famous niche fragrance that more people have, and that is, of course, Roger Dove's Elysium. Dua's version of that is Supernova, where they've actually done a hybrid of the Elysium Parfum Cologne and Eau de Parfum. There are two versions. The notes on this one very long, so get ready. Grapefruit, lime, lemon, bergamot, musk, apple, jasmine, rose, juniper, vanilla, musk, ambergris, vetiver and blackcurrant. Really modern, zesty, fresh smelling fragrance. The original Roger Dove one, often compared to Creed's Aventus and even Bleu de Chanel, and there is a similarity, but it's by no means a clone of those. This is a clone of it, although a hybrid of the two different variants, which I won't go into the differences between the two smells. They're quite similar. What you get with this is a really, really sharp, the sharpest of the three, sharp and zesty citrus opening. There is lime in here and lemon and grapefruit, so those are all very sharp notes. There's also a bit of apple, I think it's red apple, maybe giving a twist of sweetness. There is a sweetness underlying this one. There's vanilla in the base, lovely juniper, the kind of note that's, or the thing that's used to flavour gin, so a little bit of a gin and tonic-esque feel. Very bright, very sharp, and I also do get a ton of ambroxan, that very modern synthetic ambergris type note that's also used to great effect in Dior's Eau Sauvage. It doesn't smell anything much like that, but it's got that modern, masculine, woody undertone with such piercing, brilliant sharpness. And again, longevity on this one. I've got compliments, unsolicited ones on this one, and I don't get many. And I really enjoy Supernova. For me, I've used quite a fair bit. I know it's only a 30ml bottle, but I've got so many in my collection. I really do use this now and again in the hotter seasons. You can wear it all year round, and I always get great performance, and I love the smell of it. So it stopped me really lusting after Elysium, which of course is, I'm not going to go into the price differentials, but we know Elysium is a very expensive fragrance from Roger Parfums. Supernova, I think that it's up at $65 for your 30ml, so it's not cheap, I have to say that. But the thing with Dua, I will say, is that they perform and they get results, and they are cheaper than the fragrances they're mimicking. So it's up to you what you think about that. Next up then, we've got two left, but I'm going to do an honourable mention. It's not available, it's out of stock unfortunately. Imperial Pastique is a brilliant copy of Millesime Imperial, and it lasts longer. It smells not 100% the same, but very close. When it does come back in stock, I'd recommend checking it out. So I went for the other one that's sort of in a similar ballpark in my mind, and that's Water of Arabia, which is Dua's take on Creed Silver Mountain Water. Smells extremely similar. Blackcurrant, bergamot, let's list a couple of the other notes. You got mandarin, green tea and sandalwood. A little bit less of the blackcurrant and green tea for me than in the original Silver Mountain Water, and a little bit more of the sharp citrus opening, and that lasts longer, but very close to the original fragrance, and verging on beast mode, or at least very strong performance and longevity, which you don't get with Silver Mountain Water. So Water of Arabia, fantastic choice if you love Silver Mountain Water. I think that one's just $50 for 30ml. So although you could say, well, you can get the real thing without spending a huge amount, you can get a decant, yes, but this one has improved the performance so much. So for me, the Duas are worth it. A, if they take a fragrance which is incredibly expensive that we can't, most of us, afford, or B, if they take maybe a normal kind of niche Creed fragrance that maybe we could get a decant of, but they amp up the performance, or if they do both, even better. But they have to be good, Dua, because they're not cheap. This is not cheap, and the packaging is basic. You now get a box like this when you buy one, and you can see the modern packaging, or the bottle design, has changed a little bit from the early days, quite a lot, but it's still kind of basic, but they're working on it, it appears. Last but not least then, it's Best Citrus Ever, and this is my favourite of the bunch actually, so I will call it number one. Best Citrus Ever from Dua is actually their take on Henry Jacques Iroir. Now apparently that costs £500 for 10ml in Harrods, which is insane. Notes on this one are neroli, lemon leaf, iris, sandalwood, labdanum and vetiver, and this for me is a little bit of an old school kind of take on the citrus fresh fragrance, a little bit like Lorenzo Villarese Uomo, bit like Chanel Pour Monsieur, reminiscent of some Acqua di Parma type colognes. A really beautiful classic citrusy herbaceous scent that I really enjoy. It doesn't list many herbaceous notes there, but I'm getting that kind of green herby kind of thing from 50s and 60s fragrances, and the smell just brings a smile to my face. I'm always using this one, made a big dent in it, and superb performance again. So Best Citrus Ever, one of my absolute favourites from the range, and I think, yeah, if you're looking for fresh fragrances that last a long time, Dua is well worth checking out. There are of course other clone houses that do some really good stuff too, but for me, if I had to name 5 from Dua that last ages and smell great, these would be them. Let me know what you thought about that in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Don't forget to hop over to the private members club, follow the link in the description below for that. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Bye bye.